Welcome back to the Purpose-Filled Ambitions podcast. My name is Jack Canuse. Today we got Ben Totta back on the podcast. Ben, tell us kind of what you've been doing since the last time you're on the podcast and just things like that.
Am I officially the first ever returning guest?
You are the first ever returning guest, and actually the first in the new studio.
I mean, these mics, we feel official. We got the Ivy in the background. It's an honor to be here, Jack. Thanks so much for having me back.
Of course.
But what's been going on? Well, officially moved into Dad's house since we last talked. So no longer have the sweet downtown apartment. I know, tough loss there, but it would always have a place in our hearts. Shout out the Grand. Also been training for the half Ironman. We're less than 50 days away now.
Let's go.
Really starting to kind of lock in and get to the fun part of training, as you could say, where you're hitting your peak and things. So just having a lot of fun with that.
Awesome. So kind of talk to me a little bit more about this Ironman, like why the Ironman? Why do you want to do that? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have a friend, right? You go out and they suggest something or you suggest something and you just got no choice but to say yes.
Yeah.
People would call that a yes man. I think I kind of fall into that category for sure because essentially the buddy I did the Kansas City Marathon with back in October came to me in September and was like, hey, I signed up for an Ironman. Do you want to do it with me? And I didn't have a good enough reason to say no. And it's been a great decision to not say no. It's been definitely a journey, not by no means easy, but we're almost done. We're almost through it. And by the time May rolls around and the 24th birthday, I'll be able to say I'm at least half an Ironman.
Let's go. That's definitely a big accomplishment. So let's kind of start with something that doesn't really get talked about enough, I don't think. What it's really like entering the workforce after college and just things like that.
It's a tough one. To be honest, for me, it's been pretty eye-opening to just how much school and what I thought I'd prepared myself for versus what maybe I actually needed to focus on.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean I was pretty studious. I took school very seriously. I worked really hard at it. Not just that, but you get involved. You're around organizations that you're passionate about and subject matters that you're passionate about. And it's very, very structured, right? So you think you got a pretty good rhythm of things, and then you kind of leave college, you get to your last graduation, and I don't think it happens immediately, but I know for me it kind of happened about a year and a half out where you're just like, oh, so this is it. Like there's promotions, there's obviously life stages, but in terms of a professional journey, there are no more graduations. It's all kind of like you do what you want. Good luck with the rest. So the paradox of choices, they say, but I think we're trying to have fun with it, trying to have fun with the discovery phase, because I think that is really what I'm realizing is there's a ton more learning to
absolutely. And I feel like your journey is different than mine, as in you had a job in college. And so you had a kind of a feel for that. But for me, it was just a dump into the workplace. And it was just kind of weird for sure. So now kind of talking about expectations and going into okay, what did you expect out of a real job going out of college?
I expected the money to motivate me more.
Okay.
I guess is what I would say. I worked at the Mizzou Rec my senior semester at Mizzou, and I remember having a conversation with my friend Annika, and we're going back and forth, and she's like, what do you think it's going to be like when you graduate? And I'm like, it's going to be more reading, more working out. I'm not going to dread going to one class or listening to one professor. I'll enjoy what I'm doing, and I'll have some more money in my pocket while I'm at it to do things that I've wished I could have done in college, like the spring break trips and trips to Europe and stuff. But nah, it really doesn't just stop at money, at least not for me.
Yeah.
It's been kind of enlightening to learn what really kind of gets me going and what really fills my cup and brings me energy in a day.
So what is that? What fills your cup? Are you still finding out, maybe?
Definitely still finding out. I know I enjoy being around people. I get that's a very general thing, but it's not that I need to be always interacting with people, but the idea of being surrounded by a bunch of individuals, by a team, that alone just feeds me. There's very few places that are like school where you get to be around people, but still kind of in your own thoughts. And I think in the working world, especially in the one where it's moving more remote, for a lot of people that were, I don't know, tenured into their working career, that, they got their fill of being in the office, while the rest of us were promised that we'd get an office, and some of us never will get one, or, never have that experience. And for me, that's definitely something I think I need moving forward as in terms of filling my cup and making me want to come to work and see that it's bigger than just myself and what I do in my basement every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this kind of transitions well, I guess, to my next question. There's like an assumption that we just get to work from home. There's just an assumption that we get to work from home. And Zoom and Slack and all these things are always just like expected to know. Like it just like comes with the role because, we're in that generation, I guess. So what do you think about that and just the transitioning phase of that?
I think the expectation that every kid coming out of college wants to have their world be contained in Zoom and Slack is a very broad one.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're also in a very unique situation where we did have a period of time where we went to school every day and there were snow days, like probably that tail end, like, and you may even caught a little bit of that, like even when you were going to school at Grain Valley and things. But like I watched Chase and like see him go through school, and it's just completely different in terms of the expectation and comfort level being on your own, and this desire to have a location that you call school versus it just being all right in front of you at the tip of your fingers.
So do you think it's a good difference or a bad difference, or neither?
I think in my personal opinion, it will always be a alternative option. Provides
Absolutely.
good flexibility.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a true substitution. You can get that human interaction in other ways, and if your schedule allows for it while you're online and it fills your bucket, like keep on doing it. For me though, like I'd rather be by myself in my free time versus while I'm working, I like to work around others. And be around others because that's what's going to get me going.
That makes sense. And I feel like there's a perfect balance for everything. Like I don't think I would enjoy going to the office 5 days of the week, but I think there is time like, maybe 3 to 2 days. That'd be good for me, and it'd be very productive for me, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think office expectations have changed. Like the idea of like, I have an office job. I don't think it actually means you're there from 9 to 5. It just means that you may start your day there and end it somewhere else, or vice versa. You may start your day going to the dentist office, doing some stuff online at the house, and then in the afternoon, hey, I got a meeting I want to be in person for. Like I think that is the balance that can probably be struck moving forward. And I know that's the balance I'm kind of looking for.
So you've started a new venture. Tell us a little bit about OnCue and like just how it's taking shape. Obviously, it's very new. Just break us down like what it's like creating something for yourself like that.
Nerve-wracking, I'll say that. So I guess where OnCue has came from is I was able to do another public speaking gig in March, and it was the third time within the last 6 months that I had done something like that, and I walked away and I had the thought of like, could I do that professionally? I want to go do that again, and I want to get better at that. And so with that thought continually nagging at me, and knowing how I've felt about just my professional journey up until this point, I think what I realized is that I wanted to pursue something that isn't about money, but truly about something I have an interest in, and just see where that goes. OnCue is what that passion is, and it's the idea that I want to publicly speak for a living at some point in life. And I know in order to start something like that, I don't have a communications degree. I didn't do anything as a side hustle in college. Honestly, I hadn't touched a mic since high school, really. And to return to it and to say, hey, I'm going to do this at a high level, I wanted to start by like getting an LLC going, getting a brand, making sure that the next gig I do, it doesn't strike me as like, whoa, whenever the performing act goes, oh, so you do this professionally?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened when I did Fall Fun Fest back in September, is that, these bands, and they're following their own passion, building their own business, saw me and just automatically assumed I was doing this for a living. And that was something where I was like, I can do this for a living. Like, oh, yeah. I want to be able to look at them and say, yeah, I'm not just some 23-year-old having a good time and helping out his mom on occasion. I want to keep it going. So it's still very, very new. Like, we just got the LLC today. So we are officially in business. OnCue, Master of Ceremonies, April 1st, 2025. This is not an April Fool's joke.
That's amazing. And I think you're gonna be great at it. Like, once you told me the news and just your ideas behind it, I thought, man, like, he's passionate about it. I'm excited for him. So kind of talk me through like the whole process of creating this LLC, creating the social media accounts, just building like, your brand? Like, is there everything you expected? Is there things that you didn't expect? Talk me through that a little bit.
I didn't expect all the targeted ads. I'm telling you what, dude, you start looking up LLC or
Oh
how to
yeah,
like, and boom, it's on every YouTube commercial that you get. And it's cool. I don't know. It's cool to finally kind of be in that space and learn what that means to build a brand, figure out a name, figure out a slogan. So luckily we got aunts that are in the design business, so it's been really fun to, I don't know, leverage the talents of our family
hmm
to help invest in me and invest something I'm passionate about. So we've had some missteps. I told you about this, LLC filing company that I thought was the state of the Secretary of State's website. Don't ask me why I thought that. I was trying to do a lot at once, but moral of the story is I almost spent $300 when I didn't need to. Luckily had some people in my corner to be like, okay, settle down, just refund this, and then here's how you do it the right way. So it's been a learning process, but I know like the work, this is just literally the basics. This is just like, all right, now we exist. Now we actually gotta do something with it. And I think that's what's most encouraging is coming here after filing that. Like, that's how I felt. I didn't feel like, man, okay, done. I felt like, okay, cool. Like, I can't wait to get to tomorrow so I can work on it for one more hour. And that's what I'm committing to, just an hour every day while I'm balancing the full-time job and training and just one step at a time, a little.
Absolutely. So now you're kind of transitioning from like work. I mean, obviously you'll have a job or whatever. You're working for a company, but now you're like literally wearing your face, like personal branding, like you determine like your business and how your business looks. So give me your thoughts on just personal branding and just that idea.
By no means an expert, and I think I'm still carving out what my personal brand is, but it's all like, I think for me, and when listening to people who are marketing specialists, right, they talk about what's your target audience. And as of right now, my target audience is, it's cliche to say everybody, but the target audience being like, I want to be the most accessible person to every audience member. Gotcha. Meaning like, I want them to see a piece of themselves in me everywhere I go. I want to be very relatable. I want to be very authentic. I think authentic energy is really easy to see. To bring it is a different thing.
Absolutely.
It involves really tapping to look at yourself, reflect on yourself, invest in your own happiness and well-being so that when you go out there, you actually are happy and you actually are able to connect with the audience. That would be my goal, is that no one looks at me and goes, man, I could never do that.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. I want people to look at me and be like, well, if he can do that, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so I think moving forward, I think that vulnerability, that authenticity is going to be at the center of who I want to be on stage. And then we'll obviously throw on the professionalism as we round out maybe the actual clientele of who OnCue will serve. I mean, right now it's come one, come all. I'm taking any and every application to get up on stage and just practice and work on my craft and get feedback so I can just continue to get better. But in terms of personal brand, I think it's got to be something that comes natural to you.
Absolutely.
And I think it's something that can evolve. And I can't remember what book I read, or if it was a podcast or something I was listening to, but it talked about like identifying a characteristic you want to be known as. Like everyone's got traits, but what's the one characteristic you want to be known as so that when people think of this word, they think of you?
Yeah.
And like I said, right now it's authenticity, but I know that that's subject to change and evolve.
Gotcha. So looking at like what you're going to be doing and things, is there like an occasion that you're like looking for, like this is like the ideal occasion for me and this is like why I want to do it? Like I want to find myself in this situation. Is that something you think about, or like
you say occasion, you mean like what kind of event?
Yeah, event, yes. And maybe that's something I haven't even thought about yet. I don't know. I
just don't think I almost don't want to put anything out there because I don't want to have to hold myself to it type deal, right? Like I've worked, you can say like community engagement event with Fall Fun Fest. I've worked a corporate event in the Blue Springs Chamber banquet. I've worked a fundraiser at the Jake Kavanaugh Foundation, excuse me. So, I've loved them all. I put on my business card that a roast would be fun. I don't even know what that would look like, but like, I don't know, if you got a group of buddies and you need someone to host the roast and help with the writing, I mean, why not? Like, that would be kind of cool to say I did at least once in life. But in terms of like the dream, I think it's still taking shape.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're in the early stages, so those questions can be tough. But how are you staying grounded and aligned with your purpose as you like kind of build this out?
Right now, it's really just thinking about the Jake Kavanaugh event and realizing that. So a little background for anybody who's not familiar. My sister Annabelle got diagnosed with cancer back in December of 2023. Devastating, but one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb was that I got a community of people that love my sister
Mm-hmm.
and love my family and poured financially, spiritually, I mean, their time into making sure Annabelle got all the comfort and I don't know, love she needed to get her through that moment. And the Kavanaugh Foundation, the Jake Kavanaugh Foundation, was that this family stepped up and said, hey, like, one thing you're going to realize is GoFundMe taxes you, and we don't want you being taxed. So we're actually going to funnel and use the foundation to help provide Annabelle with the money she needed. And so, you get to an event like that, right? It's very emotional, not just for the Kavanaugh family, but for myself, because it's more than just an event at this point. It is a personal obligation I feel to serve this family and this organization that has served me and
Absolutely.
my family. And you go and you watch that family try to speak, and you watch and you see the emotion that comes over them. And you want to help them at all costs to make sure the message they want gets out. So in terms of like staying grounded, like what's gonna keep me going is that like I can use this to deliver messages for people that maybe don't have the words themselves
Yeah.
and don't have the comfortability behind a mic, yet have all the stories and lessons to teach people. So as I move forward, like I know there's gonna be times I forget it. I know there's gonna be times that it may not feel like it does now,
Yeah.
but I think it's keeping that at the heart of what I'm doing and realizing that's going to be a part of my business moving forward. Like it's not going to be just a one-time thing of giving your time to organizations that do incredible work like the Jake Kavanaugh Foundation. So
Good stuff.
I think that's going to be what's going to
I
keep my
like it.
feet on the ground, bro.
I like it. I like it. And you can kind of just tell your passion behind it. So it's great. So you kind of touched on it, but public speaking is not everyone's favorite thing. But for you, it's a space you want to like thrive in. You're creating a business out of it. Have you always been confident on the stage, or is that something that you've had to develop?
Definitely, it's a long journey of development and one that I don't think was super intentional. I mean, it goes back to fourth grade St. John's talent show and putting on this dorky suit and having your mom, Aunt Kelly, help me write cards and jokes for every single act.
And at that age, you liked it.
I mean, I didn't have anyone throwing tomatoes at me. Right? I mean, I think that's true of anybody who is passionate about any kind of subject, whether that's sport or art or public speaking. You have that initial event that didn't discourage you but lifted you up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what was super unique was that from St. John's, I switched schools and just kind of used that one instance as like, oh yeah, I can do this. And it turned into doing it throughout middle school. Every single talent show, every assembly, like I wanted to have the mic and I wanted to do fun stuff like walk in the crowd and pop up and be like, all right, let's get it started, or do stupid bits where it just gets people laughing and engaging. And like I could care less about what I look like. And then you go to high school, and I didn't do student council, so I didn't get to run to the assemblies, but I every weekend was doing speech and debate and talking in front of people and enjoying enjoying the audience, enjoying telling a story. And so I think it's been something that's been nurtured and developed over time, and is still going to be nurtured and developed because we're not in school anymore. Not every event is going to be a personal one like the last three I've done. There are going to be people I know that are going to be like, probably not going to invite that guy back. And that's okay. Like, it's just a matter of continuing to say, how can I get better every single day, whether it's easy or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So was there a moment where you thought like, yeah, like I'm actually good at this? Like maybe it was in fourth grade, or was it later on that you actually were like confident, like, man, I could do this?
I wouldn't say there was a moment where I knew I'm going to be like, I mean, let's be honest. I still don't know if I'm going to make it as a professional speaker. It's just an aspiration, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just this idea of I've enjoyed it. I've legitimately enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed being able to walk away from it and give myself a little crap.
Yeah.
Like I've had moments where I remember in high school at, the state conference for hosts. So there's 13,000 students from all across the state of Missouri, and you got a big script, and all the officers are standing up there, and I just was smiling, and I had no idea it was my turn to go. No idea. And all of a sudden the president kind of nudges me and looks at me and goes, "Get up there, Ben." And I'm like, oh, and I kind of like jokingly go up. I'm like, I forgot it was my turn, and got the entire audience to kind of crack a joke, and just in the sense of like, I messed up, like I did, but I had so much fun doing it. And there's not a whole lot of things in my life that I like doing at a C+ level. So like in my eyes, like if that's a C+ performance, I can't wait till see what A+ looks like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
That's
I hope
good.
that answers your question.
Yeah. So I talked about it a little bit, but public speaking isn't something that just everyone like loves doing. Like it's a confidence thing, I think. And I think a lot of the audience would like look up to you and like, hey man, this guy has confidence in front of the mic, and like, so kind of give the audience some tips, some takeaways, how you do it. What do you do before getting behind the mic?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know like exactly how I get confidence, right? I think that's maybe that phrase, like those who can't do teach type deal. I don't know if that's where that comes from, but like I hate scripts. I hate having to memorize words.
Okay.
Because that like bugs me. Because if I know I missed a word, I'm going to think about that over anything else.
Gotcha.
So I more so think of it like a flow. Like, what are the important pieces? It's kind of like when you're listening to a lecture and you're just like, what are the 5 things I need to know for the test? And so that's how my mind works. Like, for the Blue Springs Chamber event, I was given a script like that. That's how they liked to type it out. They like to know exactly what everyone's going to say. And I got the script 2 hours before, got there and just started reading through it and was like, okay, what are some important names? Okay, how do I say that name? All right, what is a moment that I need to have the script? Sponsors, like what stuff you can't mess up? And then what stuff that's like, if you get the gist, you're pretty much good. Let the rest just kind of come to you. I try to like, do the cliche, take a breath. But then after that, it's like I like looking at people in the audience. Some people like to look in the back. They like to pretend they're not even looking at me. I'm like, no, like I want to look at this side of the room. I want to make eye contact with that guy. And then I want to come right back to him later on. And then him be like, wow, is he talking at me?
And that doesn't intimidate you at all?
No, like to me, it just makes it, it's in my mind, like if I was in the audience, what would be the coolest thing ever? And that's like if the guy on stage felt like he was talking to me and like had a very personal connection with me. Like I think that's what makes speakers powerful, and like why I love watching TED Talks. Like I don't watch, like I go wrong, I love the subject matter, but I just like watching how people speak. I like watching how people give presentations and like how they start, how they finish, like it all, like how they wind it all together and do like it's, to me, it's like this weird amalgamation of everything I've ever wanted to be able to do as an individual, but you get to do it on stage, which is like have a personal connection, have confidence, be your authentic self, like be silly. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, at a professional event, you gotta have some class to you, but everyone takes everything a lot seriously, way too seriously, myself included. So like for me, like that stage is the one place I don't like that's the fun part.
That's awesome. And like just to realize that's super cool. You kind of talked about pointing out people in the crowd and just looking at them. I kind of had a flashback when I was like in grade school. I just remember like going up for presentations and like I couldn't look at my friends in the crowd because I would laugh, like if I had a buddy or whatever. And like so like now in my head I'm like thinking about myself, like looking at people in the crowd as I'm presenting. I'm like, nah, I'd crack up. And that's where that comes from, which is just
I'll crack up. I mean, if you're looking at your buddies and they're just sticking their tongue at you and stuff. Don't get me wrong, like, I didn't love class presentations a lot.
Okay.
Because it was a weird moment where, to your point, like not everyone's comfortable. So whenever you are, they're like, man, that's a little bit like you can't help but feel like you're trying a little hard.
Yeah.
Like even though
absolutely.
It's so natural, you're just like, like, but whenever everyone's up on stage and you're not just in front of your class, it's more like, oh yeah, he's gotta be this animated. He's gotta bring the energy. It's not so, I don't know, like the lower the stakes, the more awkward I feel because I don't know how to do it at 25%.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think like now that I'm thinking about it, just like those projects and things you do at school, and just you're doing it for a grade, and it's like forced on you almost, and you're not even talking about a topic you're interested in. So maybe that's where like the discomfort comes from. Like, oh, like I don't like public speaking because I had this experience, and just things like that. Like I didn't even think about that.
I like I said, I was lucky enough to have my first experience be somewhere. I mean, it's a Catholic school. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they literally preach kindness and loving your neighbor. It's not like I was up on doing. It's not like my first go at it was a stand-up comedy show. That would probably be really different. But I don't know. I think everyone's probably can think back at a time where they would think badly on public speaking. But I would also argue that if you were able to do it the way you would always pictured it, it's like the best high you could ever have. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you're just like, wow, I just did that.
Yeah.
So I definitely see your point. Is like, hey, not everyone's had that same experience as myself.
So transitioning a little bit, before the show, we kind of talked about, you kind of gave me an honest reflection about the month of March. So now kind of bring the audience up to speed on just the last month and how it affected you, like, personally.
Yeah. March has been a tough month. Well, hasn't been the first time that I've had a rough March in life, or I've had to take a month and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it's the first time since, being in the adult world that I've had to like take a step back and kind of admit that I needed some help, or just needed to take a break, needed to take a breath, and
Yeah.
realized how, I mean, just miserable, for lack of a better term, I'd been making myself, thinking I was, I don't know, just nothing ever felt like enough leading up until March. And when I got to the end of February, I had my mom come downstairs and tell me something's got to change.
Yeah.
And that wasn't easy, because like, if things change, it means things, what's to say? Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if you're fixing something, it means it's broke, right? So like, if something's changing, it means, okay, so we've made a really drastic wrong turn somewhere. It needed to take a step back. And I think the ability to do so from work, and to not have the pressure of paying rent. Like, I'm home.
Yeah.
It's a very nice blessing to have a father that, would welcome you back home, and not do any kind of scolding or like judgment, just in the sense of, hey bro, your bed's ready for you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Let's grab dinner. And so for the month of March, it's been a month of me asking for help, and then helping myself with small victories, like picking back up journaling, realizing that, in my senior year of college, like I took a class on like positive psychology and the idea of like human flourishing. And I did that kind of like so that I'd have some constant, so that my feed wouldn't be like this toxic, like grinding, like go all out. Like, if you're not making 100K by 25, you're a failure. Like, what are you doing? Like, to actually get some positive content and positive thoughts rolling. And so like the month of March, I knew like, okay, I got to keep that going. My like default setting is anxious and thinking about whether people would think of me if I made X decision, and being my worst critic, even if it's not helpful, like not a helpful critic, just like, oh, everything you do is like, for lack of all the words. And so I think, for me, it's been playing with this idea, and reading this book called Grit by Angela Duckworth has been really helpful. And it's like seeing the idea of like, what does it really mean to be gritty? What does it really mean to like sacrifice to? And like, what is a clear, that there's a clear distinction between sacrifice and suffering. And maybe people are listening are like, no, but like, for me, I couldn't see a difference, because I was like, sacrifice involves suffering, but it's not just suffering for suffering's sake. Like, it's not just doing it to collect a paycheck, or doing it to say you worked 10 hours or fill in the blank. Like, I don't know, fill whatever excuse you need. It's not about that. Sacrifice is about having a purpose for putting yourself through some hardship, some intentional hardship, with the object of getting something out of it. Yeah. And so I've just really started to look critically, like, what are you getting out of this? What are you getting out of that? And if it's not filling your cup, that's fine. You just got to find something. So I think that's part of the reason I've gravitated toward starting my own business and starting OnCue, is that I know, like, I need an end goal. I need an end goal that I'm interested in. I need an end goal that can develop into a true passion and then a profession.
Absolutely.
And then I need to figure out how what I'm doing now connects to it. And I don't think that's just professionally, but also personally, right? Like what's my personal compass? What am I striving for when I'm not focusing on OnCue?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be as a person? You know, this distinction of you are what, like it's gonna sound really redundant, but like you're not what you do, you are what you are, if that makes sense. Like in my head, like I've always been this, I'm the guy who is in this club. I'm the guy who gets this grade. I'm the guy who helps friends with this, and this.
Yeah.
But when you're not doing that stuff, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And really like looking at that and appreciating those aspects of yourself, which is like, you know, you're a big brother, like to a lot of people, not just your siblings. You're a friend, like, and you're a person who legitimately does care about others and thinks about others. And you're also someone who like enjoys being in front of people. That's okay. It's like, that's not a bad thing to be like, I don't like being alone. I think there's I don't know if it's a cultural thing or just an internal statement, but saying like, if you don't like being alone, like you're hiding from something, and it's like, or I'm just enjoying myself. Like,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Not that there's time for you to recharge your battery and step away, but
Yeah.
yeah. So just to kind of summarize, I think it's just been the month of March has been one of me just intentionally working on myself, intentionally trying to find my professional and personal compasses, and trying to unwire a lot of thinking that has gotten me to this point, but I don't believe will get me any further than this point, at least not in a healthy way that makes people enjoy being around me. So that's kind of been the takeaways from March.
Got you. Well, first off, I got mad respect for just taking a step back, realizing, okay, like I'm not okay. Because I feel like a lot of people just going through life, it's that suffering thing. It's like, all right, I have to do this because I have to make money type of thing. And like just putting that pressure on yourself and stuff like this, like people don't just, all right, I need to take a step back. I need to take some time off. I need to do this because it's actually so important. And I think it's definitely hard to do. So just, I respect that for sure. And then also like these feelings and things and your thoughts, they are fueled by something. And you talked about, oh man, like you were putting it on yourself, like, oh, I'm not hitting these goals for myself that I had. But it's also you had other people's opinion was kind of bugging you as well. What kind of fueled it more in your opinion? Or was it equally fueled?
I think it's no one I know personally. Like that's one of the things I need to point out is like I don't have parents that are like, if you don't get this or make this, you're done. Like, that's not it. But it was in my head like that's the kind of critic I need to be on myself because no one else is going to tell me. No one else is going to tell me that. So I got to be real with myself. I got to be honest with myself. And, you know, they won't hurt my feelings. This is what really is. And then you tack onto that, like, it just takes 1 minute of you watching a 30-second clip. That makes no sense. 1 minute of a 30-second clip. It just takes a moment of scrolling and stopping before all of a sudden that's what your feed is. And then it starts digging into your psyche. It's just all you're reading.
Yeah.
Like, and all you're seeing and all you're hearing. And it's, like, you got to the point where like I had to delete apps. I had to like catch myself being like, if you don't want to, not like don't be in your own bubble, but like if you want to listen to Jordan Peterson talk, like, listen to a full talk, read one of his books. Don't.
So what content were you like feeding? Like what were we talking about? Like what content was kept coming up that you had to take a break from or whatever?
I think what every 20-year-old guy has in front of him. Either you got like Dave Ramsey saying you don't save enough and that you're not disciplined.
Yeah.
You got Andrew Tate, which says that you're just not a dog. And like, you got Jordan Peterson, who tells you you're just not smart enough and thinking enough and not honest with yourself enough. Then you throw on every single crypto wizard there is, and then you're like, boom, wow, I'm really am just doing nothing with my life, and I'm just sitting in my bed, and there's a reason brain rot was the #1 trending word of 2024.
Seriously, yeah.
You don't realize you're doing it to yourself because it's always in your pocket, and it's just you get in habits, and they're impossible to break unless you just stop. Well, I appreciate the props. I do want to point out the elephant in the room, which is like, it's a luxury to be able to stop. I find myself in a very, very unique situation with like little to no debt, still have a stream of income, have parents that are financially stable for themselves and have jobs,
Mm.
don't have any kids type deal. Heck, don't even, don't, not in a committed relationship and serious relationship where there is that expectation of, hey, like we're building a life together, right? Like, and so I understand. I understood how unique of a time I was in, and instead of denying that luxury and pretending like I didn't have it, I just finally took advantage of it. Like anybody who I hope is in my situation would, like talking and saying out loud, I need help, not being worried about. I almost say you're always going to worry, but like just not letting it debilitate you in terms of what will someone think of me.
Yeah.
And just realizing, what do I think about myself? And until that changes, it don't matter what anybody else thinks. So yeah, definitely very, very blessed and realize that.
Gotcha. So some last questions for you, just kind of some rapid fire ones. What's one lesson you're learning in this season of life?
One lesson I'm learning: passion takes patience.
Okay. That's a good one.
For the listener.
I like that. If someone's in a pause or questioning their identity right now, what encouragement would you offer them?
Give yourself grace and don't be afraid to not know, because like I'm still just 23 and like you can have me on in 2 months and it could be a totally different thing, right? And just accepting the first draft as a draft and realizing you can just crumble it up and start again.
Absolutely. So obviously, like before we got on the podcast, we kind of talked about, all right, what would be like a win for this podcast? Like, what are you looking to do in result of this podcast? What would make this podcast a win? Do you feel like this podcast was a win, and why so?
It's a win because this is your first podcast, so like major win there.
Amen.
Major win there. Like I said, honored to be that guest that you chose to do it with. But I think it's, I don't know, having you got an audience that has heard from me before, and like showing that I'm being just honest and open. I think that's a win. I think saying out loud, hey, like I got this business. It's a very unnerving thing. Like I haven't made the LinkedIn post, but I've seen people who start their business and they make the LinkedIn post, and I'm like, I can't imagine how anxiety inducing it is to tell everybody, hey, I'm starting something new. But like here I am, like I'm starting something new, and I hope it turns into something that I look back on in 20 years as one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate the opportunity, the platform, and I don't know, dude. You got your own thing cooking here, so don't take a second to smell the ivy, you know.
Take a second to smell the ivy. Well, Ben, thank you for just bringing your honesty and your voice, that amazing voice of yours, the moneymaker. Just thanks so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Thank you, Cuzzo. I love you.
Love you too. See you guys next time.